Although it is good news. Good news indeed. Everyone is getting deportations. It's a beautiful time of year. It's a Christmas miracle. Much of the Christian world is sitting down to find what it's got beneath the tree.
Right.
And it's our plane ticket the hell out of here. That's
Oh, superb.
This also includes places outside of Europe, which we'll get to later. But we shall begin with...
Always warms your heart when you go on Twitter and you see that a new country has decided to start doing deportations.
Had enough. We'll start off with this new series. You can see the Nordic countries are cooperating more on returning migrants to countries of origin, is the title from Reuters, which I'm sure they're very proud to publish. They say in here, the Swedish government is looking towards Danish immigration policies as the country battles with gang violence caused by an irresponsible immigration policy and a failed integration, said the Prime Minister.
Yes.
Well, okay, good. Finland had also seen a rise in anti-immigration policies, as their newly formed government in June said it had agreed to cut refugee quotas and make it more difficult for foreigners to obtain citizenship. Good job. Ministers for Sweden, Denmark, Finland, and Norway, and Iceland have also agreed to strengthen cooperation amongst themselves to return migrants from respective Nordic countries to their country of origin, so you won't be able to go between them anymore. And they say in here they've got some achievements. So I'm not just bringing you, hey, some people are thinking maybe we've mucked up. They've got the numbers. And they say here they helped return last year 25,000 people, of which 40% returned voluntarily, according to Frontex. And the interesting thing about that is it's 40% voluntarily.
Yeah.
For the UK, that figure is way higher because we have some kind of disease where we literally can't enforce the law.
We only do it voluntary. But things I think you can achieve a lot through voluntary if it was a conscious effort. I mean, you could make certain changes to the legality of halal meat and welfare, and you could get those numbers well up.
You could indeed. There is another way of doing it, though.
Yes.
Which has obviously come about in the last week, because, of course, you can see here this was published a week ago at the end of October there. But there's some more stuff going on, of course. The current thing, the thing that won't go away. Here's Germany over the weekend. A lot of Taliban enjoyers and Al-Qaeda fans decided to turn up with the flags of Al-Qaeda and the Taliban in Hesse.
Yeah, I mean, nothing has materially changed, but for whatever reason, in the last couple of weeks, people have suddenly decided it's a problem.
Amazing that, isn't it?
Yes.
And not only this, the point is that they are making several statements. But the point is that just like there's a difference between law and law enforcement, there's also a difference with making statements and actually acting according to them.
Yes.
So it remains to be seen whether these statements are going to be acted upon.
Now, the Nordic countries getting their S together has been pretty good. Start with Denmark. Some good comedians did some good work there. And then when we get to Germany, this is how we're looking at right now. This is in Hesse in Germany, in which, of course, you have Al-Qaeda fans.
Essen, you said.
Hesse, I think it's like Hesse. And the situation here is particularly interesting because I didn't include it. German Antifa. Probably you would imagine the worst variant of Antifa. Communist-obsessed weirdos.
Antifa is basically Hitler's brown shirts in the modern era. So the German version of that you would expect to be...
Yeah, I mean, you don't usually have to compare them to Hitler because they've got their own gig going on just as bad, to be honest.
Yes.
But you would expect them to endlessly be beating up Pegida or the AfD, etc. And they have done. They've been completely awful. The people who warned them about all of this would come home to roost. They, for some reason, have now sided with Israel. And I really should have included the link, but there's some pictures of German Antifa going out and celebrating that they've drawn over pro-Palestinian propaganda.
Yes.
In
I would
graffiti
not
and
have
such.
expected that.
And this is a very unique German situation because, of course, protecting the German people is not the German government or German people's primary objective.
Not for a few decades now, no.
It's Israel.
No,
So, of course, this circumstance, and then the response being a lot of the German population, well, not being very keen on Jews.
I mean, you had that situation in Australia, didn't you, where you got a whole bunch of the Hamas supporters standing outside the Sydney Opera House chanting "Gas the Jews" over and over again.
Yeah.
The Germans particularly might find that a bad look, so I can understand why they're sort of keen to clamp down on this.
They're a bit sensitive. So, as you can see here, the German Chancellor saying that we must finally deport on a large scale those who have no right to stay in Germany. In some states, initial rulings in deportation cases come after 4 months, whilst in others, it takes 39 months. This is unacceptable. We will have to deport more people and them faster.
Let me ask you, what does he mean by right? Because a lot of the times there are people who are abusing this kind of rhetoric and they're saying, well, you cannot guard your borders because it's violating human rights. But now he's He's basically appealing on the notion of rights in order to start deporting.
Yeah.
Of course, but because
And-
we're dealing with Germans, that question I think is quite easily answered, which is, do you like Jews? Because if not, and you have a foreign background, the Germans are really, really sensitive.
Okay.
I mean,
Yeah,
there's-
they can't really go there, can they?
I mean, here's a video from the climate office of the
Right.
German government.
Well, I mean, they are the Green Party, so basically the whole thing is a climate office.
But well, it's just kind of weird that the climate office would
Yeah.
issue a statement. And as you can see, this is in German, Hebrew, and Arabic there. And I'm just going to play a bit. It's in foreign, so very sorry to people listening. But
War nie eine Lehrformel. Und er darf auch keine werden. Er sagt, dass die Sicherheit Israels für uns als Staat notwendig ist. Dieses besondere Verhältnis zu Israel rührt aus unserer historischen Verantwortung. Es war die Generation.
so I'll mute it there because it's German. But what's on screen is the minister talking here
Yeah.
about how Israel's security is Germany's security because of their historical founding of the new German state on, well, the aftermath of the Holocaust.
Well, Germany's basically doing what a lot of people in the US are doing, which is adopting an Israel first policy.
Yes, but the Germans doing it, of
Yes.
course, has a whole other kind of force behind it
Yes.
than just boomerism.
Yes.
And so when he goes on to speak in here, where he's talking about the fact that he's spoken to local Jews and they don't feel safe, their schools aren't safe, they have to keep their kids home, they have to carry weapons to keep safe when they're walking around the town.
Yeah.
And the obvious solution to the Germans there is we must remove the anti-Semites. But the anti-Semites are all foreigners, my friends.
That they
So now what?
So this is funny because mainstream German opinion was maximum immigration. I mean, they went large on immigration. And then there's the AfD saying, hang on, we think this is a bad idea. And in the space of 2 weeks, mainstream German opinion has just leapt over the AfD to be like, yeah, deportations now.
The anti-Semites have got to go.
Yes.
We cannot go. If there's
It's-
anything we're more ashamed of is the war. So
So do you think they actually mean it? Do you think they're actually going to do it?
the fact that even German Antifa have ended up in the AfD position.
Yeah. Because Antifa in every other country has just been like, nuke Israel, haven't they?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
I mean, in the UK, that's what they've been like. for
The
sure.
point also, though, is where. If they are going to say we are going to start deportations, where will that be?
Oh, right.
Will it be Poland, for instance?
Ah,
That's
Yes,
an
yes, good
interesting
point.
question.
So the line currently is back to their countries of origin, which, of course, is what we want. And it's where these people belong. It's where these people keep saying that they love and cherish and would fight to the death for, and yet live in Germany. Curious that.
Hmm.
So it would be the right thing to do. And
Yes.
I'm interested to see where it goes because it is a bit annoying, to say the least, that this is the thing that has changed the world. I mean, this
Yes.
is not just one minister. We'll go on to, I suppose, look at a big list here. I mean, I love this.
Is that a currently serving minister or?
No, this is an
They
interpretation.
brought the uniforms back as well.
A local minister who's like, 12,000 German girls are assaulted in a single day on a public street. Ah, yeah, everyone is welcome. No human is illegal. When the Israel lobby feels threatened. Well, chaps, we have a new plan. It's a plan we've got together at Wannsee here. But they're not the only people talking. And there's a reason for this meme, which is this post here. Germany's Chancellor Olaf Scholz saying we must deport on a grand scale. The CDU saying that Berlin neighborhoods are not being adequately German and has been demanding new immigrants to declare their allegiance to Israel. Okay. A left-wing German politician saying there shouldn't be any neighborhoods in where natives are a minority. That's a massive change. You may have noticed in a friggin' 2-week span. You've got the Freedom Democratic Party here saying they are finally making progress on repatriation agreements to take them to non-EU countries. So your concerns are valid, and that's where they should go, which is back out of the EU. And then you even have the Green Party over here saying they must avoid more and more people arriving.
But let me just say one thing, because if he used the notion of a right in order to justify this, that's basically the validation of all people who are saying that there are people within the country who don't have a right to be here. And this is
Yeah.
not something that he was doing before.
You've got to admire the Germans
I guess.
for the way that whatever direction they're traveling in, they always take it to its logical conclusion almost immediately.
Indecisiveness is a bad thing.
I did a segment about a year ago basically saying that with all this AI coming out, we should make Germany the first country that's run entirely by AI, because you won't be able to notice difference, because both AI and Germans instantly take everything to the logical conclusion.
It's like a phalanx, just all these spears marching in one direction.
Yes.
Oh, something has gone wrong. March the other way.
Time is always against people. Let's not waste time. Take things to the logical conclusion.
Yes.
Yeah.
In a day. Yeah.
I know you got these various comments here. I can see that, this post blew up massively because it is, as you say, amazing how quickly German society decided to flip a coin. Well, I should say the elites. German society's been at this point for a while. And for any other German listeners, I thank God for the good work everyone has done to try and make this a good situation. But apparently this 2 weeks is what it took. And, well, good news, I guess. Good for India. Sorry, good for Germany.
Yeah.
Should we check in on India? Should we go outside of Europe and check on the rest of the world? Because all the Nordics, all the German world has.
I honestly have
jumped on the
no idea
deportation.
how India is responding to this, but okay.
Well, let's take a look. So here we have Pakistan, which is next to India, of course,
Yes.
and they're deporting 1.7 million Afghans
Right.
in a month.
Okay.
That's not rookie numbers.
1.7 million
Yes,
in a month.
there is some context. For some reason, no one's been able to solve this question yet, but for some reason, importing that many Afghans led to a spattering of Afghan terrorist attacks.
Yes.
And the Pakistani government, after a series of them, decided, we're not Britain. So we'll just deport them all. So they're sending them all back to the Islamic Emirate, as you can see here, after the Taliban government have now been put in place.
So there is a guy I know who keeps making the point that the problem in the West is not all of the things that we ever talk about. It's simply a lack of political will.
Yeah, because
It might be onto something.
we've had series of terror attacks in the West. Mostly France had the worst one.
Yeah.
And their response was not to deport 1.7 million people, but probably should have been. It's also something you can do like that if you just have the will. Oh, God bless Pakistan for telling us, I suppose.
This segment is so base that the screen is glitching out behind you repeatedly. It can't handle this.
Are there any protests against Pakistan now in European cities?
I hadn't noticed them.
I hear
Why?
nothing.
Yes.
Why? And I think that the person you referred to, I don't know who he or she is incidentally, I think that they may be onto something, because a lot of the issues we're dealing are practical. And when we don't think they are practical and they
Yes.
require, will, we start trying to invent fables and narratives about what went wrong, whereas it's just...
excuse after excuse. Well, that's all because the model in Britain is basically we change the Home Secretary every 18 months, and the new Home Secretary comes in with a plan to limit immigration, and then basically gets unwound over 18 months, and then you change the Home Secretary. I mean, this is what we always do.
The legislature just gets rid of the leader if they're just doing something. But you can see here, this is what we should be aiming for. Not, let's try and up it to 25,000. No, 1.7 million. That's the baseline. That can be done and should be done with people who are illegally in your country.
Yeah.
And Pakistan shows the way. One thing I did find funny, and the reason I mentioned India preemptively, is because let's go to a local Indian who watched this and went, Pakistan is expelling 1.7 million refugees and bulldozed the migrant shelters. Why can't India deport the illegal Rohingyas and Bangladeshis? I just love whatever country you go on earth, everyone has the same problem these days. Just a load of illegal immigrants invading. Why isn't the government doing anything? You can. Pakistan shows you can. They're not the only ones, of course, in the world.
And all over the world, they've just
outside the
decided, actually, we can do something, and we are going to do something, and we've done it.
Bye-bye. As you can see there. Do you want to know what the UK is doing in response to this news? The Pakistan is deporting illegals?
Subsidising housing for them all, I don't know.
How'd you guess? We're going to go pick them up. The UK is to charter flights for Afghan refugees stuck in Pakistan. Great news, boys. This is apparently for people who helped us during the war. I thought they'd already come here. There are tens of thousands of them.
So
here.
which war?
But does it matter? It's obviously not true.
Well, yes, fair point.
And this just reminds me of a local story I read the other day, as you can see here. So the Braverman fails in bid to deport a rapist who is a danger to the community. This news broke a couple of days ago, as you can see there. And circumstances here is that an Afghan man, unnamed for legal reasons, he deserves privacy, I suppose. He arrived in the UK illegally in 2006, and in 2017, he was convicted of raping a woman for raping her. He was sentenced to 5 years in prison, and now we've decided that he served his time. He's illegal, but we won't send him back because, well, he might get sent to the Taliban. You know what the Taliban will do?
Rape him?
Well, probably not. They're old.
Right.
But I don't know. Who cares?
Yes.
He's a rapist.
Yes. They're not
Wait, what-
high on my list of people to keep an eye out for.
Oh, you can't send me back to Afghanistan. The Taliban have taken over. You might be killing me. I mean,
Yes.
you're a rapist, mate. I do believe in the death penalty, so it was extrajudicial. It's just like,
Well,
okay.
I mean, it's worse than that. I mean, we should know that in this country, in the UK, the police's highest priority, highest intelligence priority is to look for people who advocate for deportation.
And I'm very excited about these past 2 weeks because that seems to have been shattered a little bit.
Well, officially, it now includes the government are now in favour of deportation. I mean, they said it. They never followed up on it.
but they're not the ones really in charge, are they?
Yeah,
In
yeah.
this country. It's a weird place, this place. But there's something else going on, of course, this weekend. All those people turning up. The police have now also decided they're not in charge. They've put out a groveling ask for people not to protest. We ask the organisers to consider postponing any demonstrations in London this armistice weekend. Please, pretty please, don't do it. That's the police. That's the level of power they have now. Just to remind you, they are the ones in charge of approving or denying the right to protest in this country. That's how it works. And their response is not to enforce their own rule. I mean, I just love people just rinsing them. Like,
So I went to a lot of the lockdown protests. They never said please to us. Basically, they just waited until it thinned out enough, and then they attacked us with batons.
yeah. Could do the Pakistan thing either, because of course, like, we're talking about people who are literally breaking the Terrorism Act. So the Telegraph has discovered that half of the groups organizing the march, the ones that the police are asking pretty please not to do this, have links to Hamas, which is a crime. It's a breach of the Terrorism Act, which can get you up to 10 years in prison.
If enforced.
Yes, if it's not enforced, such as, I don't know, right now,
Yes.
doesn't matter.
Hmm.
Doesn't matter. I just can't get over, like, everyone else is getting deportations. We have a golden opportunity for it. We have the people, their names, their crimes listed, and the response is, but what about their human rights? Or
Well,
what
let's-
if I don't care?
Or let's send a charter plane to pick up everyone else's that they're chucking out.
Yeah, of course. Why not? I hear about 3 million Afghans were interpreters for the British Army. Something like that. I must presume at this point. So I think we literally have 40,000 of them already.
Right.
So how many interpreters do we have?
So I mean, what's the definition of interpreter? Is it like somebody going up to a market stall and saying how much is that, and then some guy walking past like shouting out the English?
Five
for
bob,
him or
mate.
something? Yeah.
But I wanted to win this off because I was writing all this, and Bo chapped up and told me a story. Because of course we have Pakistan over there just enforcing the law. Well, much of the rest of the world doesn't do what we do, rightfully so. But then there are some countries that take it to another level. And there was this story from Saudi Arabia. A while back, they fired on us like rain, said one migrant talking about the Saudis opening fire on them.
So these are Ethiopians trying to get into Saudi.
Yeah.
And Saudi was like, nope.
There's a quote from a local Ethiopian who said, "We will migrate in the shade," in response. But anyway, they say in here that this is Human Rights Watch. They're arguing that Saudi forces apparently opened fire on them or would shoot them when they tried to break in illegally. Now, it's hard to trust because it is Human Rights Watch, leftist
Yes.
organization. They lie regularly on this stuff.
Yeah.
But there is some more details in here where they say that apparently what happens is the smugglers ask for their fees. And if you don't pay enough, they just take you to the place where you're going to get shot.
Right.
So,
To be fair, that's some good sales technique.
you never take your business cap off, do you?
No.
But anyway, so that's the Saudis. And obviously, you can see Human Rights Watch or various people be like, disgusting. How could they enforce their borders with firearms? I don't know how else you expect them to enforce a border, to be frank.
Yeah.
You don't have a border if you don't use force. Whole
Well,
other
it
conversation.
all stems from this Israel thing because I mean I remember hearing somebody describe the Israeli-Gaza border and they basically say, look, it's got a wire fence and it's got an exclusion zone, and if you walk into it, you get sniped. And then they've got guard towers on the other side. And I'm listening to this thinking,
Republicans are sat there like, so how do we build this?
yes,
Well, that's how you end up with a border.
but why can't we just have the Royal Navy going around and doing, Saudi-ish things because they've got big guns on those ships.
Well, they could.
Yeah.
No, but we have a different policy to the Saudis, and you can agree or disagree with the Saudi policy of using deadly force. Obviously, that's a matter of policy debate. But we'll go to the UK, in which we have a different way of doing things. Because I just wanted to compare and contrast the Manchester Arena bomber and the details in here still just confuse me.
That guy who killed all of those people, including little girls and all that, horrific.
So there's this little nugget from the inquiry where they say that his mother here was receiving tax credits and child and benefit housing. Housing benefit. £550 a week. So that's 2.2 grand a month she was getting. Even though she had left the country in October 2016, she was still getting that money from the taxpayer. She was getting our money. We paid for her to be housed, even though she
wait. Slow down here. She was getting £2 grand a month in benefits.
Yes. Well, it's not
and for the last at least year and a bit of that, she wasn't even living in this country. She'd cleared off.
No. So, of course, the local boy of hers got the money to take the cash withdrawals. And the inquiry found that he used his mother's bank account to buy the tools and equipment to make the bomb. Analysis of her document showed that weekly tax credits and child benefit payments continued until the 19th of May, the jury was told, 3 days before the attack. A monthly housing benefit was paid 4 days later. So even after he'd blown up.
Sorry, let's be clear here. So the bomb that killed all of those native Brits was paid for
by us.
By British taxes.
We gave the money to a Libyan illegal who then gave it to her son, who then used it to buy bomb parts to bomb us.
Can we just scroll up a bit to,
The last payment was made days after the bombing. So after he blew up, we were still giving money to the family.
So I'm going to assume, not all, some of them are too young to pay taxes, but a decent number of people on that list paid taxes for their own bomb that killed them.
They also found out that Salman Abedi, who dropped out of a business management degree at the University of Salford, again, he came here illegally with his illegal family, he received a student loan payment of £1,000 4 days before the bombing, and a further £2,000 at the end of the month. So it wasn't just that one-off payment to the mother, we paid him, precisely. And they literally used the money to bomb us. I can't really think of a better example of how buggered the country is. Because the detail at the end here is that the Halifax student account card that he got paid on was in the foyer of the arena after the attack. I don't think there is anything more poetic to describe the difference between the West and the East than the enforcement of your border with deadly force in the case of the Saudis. Let's say that's one extreme. And then you have the extreme of the UK, which even looks mad compared to Germany now, in which we literally fund people who then bomb us. There we are.
I'm struggling to say anything because...
Well, what is there to say, really?
Yeah.
Anyway, deportations are at least in season for some people. I'm very glad to bring that good news, which is if you're Nordic or German or Pakistani, the law apparently is going to be enforced. So enjoy some rule of law. If you appreciated that episode from the podcast of the Lotus Eaters, you can go to lotuseaters.com to get access to all the premium content that's on the site, such as the Lads Hours, this one on male role models. If you'd like to find out what else is being put out, you can follow on Twitter at lotuseaters_com on Twitter. Thank you and goodbye.